Dragons are impressive creatures, this is known. Their majesty and power is matched by few mortal creatures, and their capacity for benevolence as well as great destruction is matched by even fewer. But every creature, no matter how self-sufficient and powerful, needs a place to call home. Thus, many dragons reside in lairs. These lairs are in many ways an extension of the dragon themselves, being decorated and furnished to fit the dragon's particular needs. Many dragons have requirements for lairs that may seem inconsequential to the untrained mind, but are in fact absolute make-it-or-break-it lines for them. Today, we will be going over how to spice up dragon lairs in your game and what you can do to make the experience of your players meeting a dragon in one such lair just that much more impressive. Welcome to Monsters Misguided Intermission Episode 2, also known as the one where I break the cooking rule instantly. Firstly, you're going to want to scale things up. Dragons are big creatures. Massive cathedrals, coliseums, and volcanoes all make great lairs, as well as dauntingly lofty scenery for your players to traverse. And while it's true that many dragons detest humanity, they still find it practical to settle down in the ruins of human civilization. Any civilization, for that matter. Maybe your dragon's lair is situated in the center of a massive mining complex, abandoned after a volcanic eruption ruined it for humanoids. Perhaps your scaled tyrant now lives in a long-abandoned underground lake town, once home to a pirate king and his crew. The best advice I can offer when dealing with the subject of making dragon lairs better is this. Make them large enough and describe them with enough space that your players can't help but feel watched at all times, like they know they're being busted for trespassing at this very moment. The second point to every dragon lair is the idea of history. Dragons are incredibly long-lived creatures, and the dragon's lair should speak to that. Maybe the ruins your dragon is shacked up in were first inhabited by numerous other creatures before the dragon showed up. The ruins now show the various traces of these different microcosms, as well as whatever the dragon has going on. Maybe the lair is littered with ages-old corpses of those who were here when the dragon decided to swoop in and set up shop. Perhaps the bodies are frozen solid by a permafrost or burnt in strange patterns from the dragon's lightning breath. On the other hand, maybe you want to treat it in a sort of reverse fashion. Perhaps in the lead up to your party going to this place, you have characters talk about how old these ruins are and how dangerous it could be to traverse them. Ham up the longevity of the place so that when the players get there and see everything perfectly preserved and neatly organized, it spins them for a loop. Turns out the dragon here is a complete perfectionist neat freak and has her legions of kobolds clean the place up every Friday. Another pillar of lair crafting is the idea of danger. If your dragon in question is a particularly destructive force, have various natural traps or hindrances that wouldn't prove a challenge for the dragon, but could spell the end for a player. These could take the form of small breathing tunnels bored into the walls of the mountains that blast chilled air into the caverns, dealing direct cold damage to those who step near them. Or perhaps your dragon has built a more vertical lair within the crust of the earth, leaving massive, mile-long pits into lava. These pits are used by the dragon to scale and get from room to room. But if your players were to fall, well, it's best not to think about it. Sprinkle various hazards in the lair, making sure to give them believable presence through clear environmental storytelling. With these three pillars of lair making, you're almost ready to go, but we're still missing one vital component. Minions! Every self-respecting dragon uses their power and influence to amass droves of minions willing to do their bidding. Be it hordes of kobolds, goblins, or even orcs, many dragons eventually choose to conduct business in and outside their lair through these zealots. When your players enter the lair, consider having their exploration monitored or hindered or maybe even aided by these minions. To make these minions believable, give them great aptitude when navigating the lair, make them aware of certain situations or hazards that the players wouldn't otherwise notice. In fights, make them use these to their advantage, such as having them guide their opponents to cracks in the ground right before those cracks burst with lava. But maybe your dragon doesn't need many minions, maybe they just need one. To read them stories and write down the tales of their escapades and stuff like that. Maybe your dragon was out flying one afternoon and scooped some poor soul up to spirit away to their lair and make into their personal steward. That's always a possibility.
Tell them about the time I made you clear the goblins out of the southern tunnel with nothing but your birthday suit and a rusty sword.
We're pressed for time. I'm afraid I can't today. Your Excellency.
Unfortunate. I really did find that amusing.
Anyway, I hope you found today's video informative or inspirational. Just added a new tier to my Patreon with a ton of new goodies, so if you're interested in personal monthly sketches, Discord emojis, or getting a cameo in future videos, check it out. Thanks to all my golden geese and those who pledged in general. The numbers are astounding, and I'm super happy to have your help. That's all for me, so I'll catch you on the flip side after I figure out a way to bust out of here.
Unlikely.
Right. Sorry.